Welcome to simple, easy pool and spa care with AquaChem. Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm Sandy.
We're going to show you the 3 simple steps for keeping your pool water crystal clear. How to open and close your pool, and a whole lot more.
This is the second house we've owned with a pool, but we decided to take care of this one ourselves.
It's a lot easier than we thought. Help saves us money, and we know it's getting done right.
Hi! Hey, you guys, when's the pool party?
Those are our neighbors, Eddie and Allison.
They'll show you how to take care of algae over at their pool. Just about everything you'll need is in this video, and here's how it works. Looking at this table of contents, you'll see that there are 7 sections, each with its own number and color code to make it easy to find. Just skim through the tape, keeping an eye on the color-coded numbers, and you'll find the section you want.
Just pause your VCR if you'd like a closer look.
The first step for great pool water is to get the pH balanced in your pool.
pH has to do with how much acid and base you have in your pool water.
It changes all the time.
And just by having a few friends over for a swim will do it.
If your pH isn't right, you'll have to use a lot more chlorine to keep your water clean and clear.
That costs money, not to mention the damage it could cause your pool and equipment.
We do all our tests with AquaChem's 5-way test kit. It's easy. One tip, make sure your test solutions are fresh enough, otherwise you may get an incorrect reading.
We replace our test kit every year.
To help you remember, there's a date on the bottom of the bottles that tells you when they were made.
You gonna do this one?
Sure. It's very important to rinse out the vial before you do the test. Then turn the vial upside down, put it down into the water up to your elbow, turn it to fill it, and bring it out. See the concave shape of the water at the top? The bottom of the curve should come to the measurement line on the vial. You may have to tap some out to get it right. Perfect. Now we find some shade.
Okay, so now I'm going to add 5 drops of phenol red test solution from the kit.
Be sure to hold the dropper straight up and down.
If not, your drops are going to be too big and your test reading won't come out right. Okay, now that's 5 drops. Now you cap it, turn upside down a couple of times to mix it, and the water changes color.
You compare the color of the water with the colors next to it. And there's a white card in the kit that you can use as a background to make them easier to see.
But do it in the shade, otherwise the colors won't look right. We got a 6/8.
Which means?
That means that the pH is low and we should add pH increaser.
You want your water to match the colors between 7.2 and 7.6.
By the way, don't throw your test solution back in your pool. It's not good for your water.
If your pH is low like ours, you'll want to add pH increaser.
This is it. It's also called buffered soda ash.
If your pH is over 7.6, you'll want to add pH decreaser to bring it down.
That's called acid. We look for the AquaChem pool care products with the red labels and caps.
So how much do you add? Well, to do it right, you have to know how much water's in your pool. Your pool owner's manual can tell you, or you can figure it out yourself with the chart and the pool care brochure that came with this tape.
Now to add our pH increaser.
Don't forget these. You have to wear rubber gloves and glasses when working with chemicals. According to the label, you're to add 2 cups of pH increaser for every 10,000 gallons of water. We have 15,000 gallons of water, so Mike's going to add 3 cups.
That's right, and since we have a vinyl pool, we always pre-dissolve our chemicals in water before we put them in the pool. Yeah. There's 1. That's that.
Except we run the pump for 4 hours and check it again tomorrow.
Oh, that. And we keep testing until we get the pH balanced.
We check it at least twice a week. It's so easy for it to get out of whack.
And if your pH is too high, that's above 7.6, you'll want to add pH decreaser.
Yeah.
You do it the same way, just follow the directions on the label.
The second step to crystal clear water is chlorination.
Without the proper level of chlorine in your pool water, you're likely to end up with a bad case of algae.
Or bacteria, even though you can't see it.
And chlorine gets used up a lot faster than you think. Sunlight does it, lots of people in the pool, and dirt and debris don't help.
We check our chlorine at least once a week.
Why don't you wait by the table, and I'll do this one. Rinse the chlorine vial. Turn it over about elbow deep. Turn it back over upright. Fill it, and take it out. Make sure the curve at the top of the water hits the measurement line like this. Now that I'm back in the shade, I'm adding 5 drops of OTO solution to the water. I cap it, and I mix it. Now the big difference here is that I've only got 10 seconds to take a reading and compare it to the kit. Any longer than that, and I'm going to get an incorrect reading. We're in great shape. We got a 1.5 ppm.
That's parts per million.
You want a number between 1 and 1.5.
If the color in the vial is below 1.0, you'll want to add chlorine.
We use stabilized chlorine. AquaChem gives us a choice between granules, tablets, or floating cartridges. Look for the yellow on the label.
Tell them about granules.
Sure. Since I'm working with chemicals, I put my gloves and glasses back on. Now, if you have a vinyl pool like ours or a color plaster one, dissolve the granules completely before you add them to the deep end.
If you don't do this, you could stain or damage your pool. How much to add is right on the label, same with the chlorine tablets. Whether you like tablets or granules, here's a chart that'll give you an idea of how much you'll need each week. Just pause the tape for a better look. These tablets are for inline or floating automatic chlorinators. Just drop in the right number of tablets.
They sort of time release. They last a long time, but don't throw them directly into the water because it could damage your pool.
If you don't know the correct setting for your chlorinator, just set it in the middle.
And then test the chlorine every other day, and then adjust the chlorinator until you get a 1 to a 1.5 reading.
That's what we use, the floating cartridge. It lasts up to 4 weeks, and we like it because it keeps our chlorine at the right level all the time. Granules and automatic chlorinators don't.
Yeah, the others do the job, but because they only chlorinate once a day or even once every few days in the case of granules, the chlorine level can swing up and down and give algae a chance to sneak in.
We use stabilized chlorine, and these products have just enough stabilizer to replace what you splash or backwash out of your pool.
It's simple. See these tabs? Cut 2 tabs off, 1 from each side for every 5,000 gallons of water. It's easy to tell when it's empty, too. It rolls over on its side like this. We'll get into how stabilizer helps you later.
Saves you money.
But now for the third step for great water, shock treatment. Shock treatment means giving the water a super cleaning. It's a regular part of pool care and helps prevent algae. You'd be surprised how quickly algae can grow. Why, we had a pool party one day and the algae had a party the next.
Another good reason for shock treating is chloramines.
Absolutely. Chlorine loses cleaning power when it combines with contaminants in the water to become
chloramines.
You know when you've got them, too, even though the pH balance is right, when the water burns your eyes and it smells like you've got too much chlorine.
Shock treating gets rid of chloramines and algae and bacteria that resist chlorination.
Shock treating your pool is simple. You can either use the orange-coated liquid
or granules. The correct dosage is on the label. With our vinyl pool, we always pre-dissolve the granules.
You should do the same with a colored plaster pool, but liquid chlorinizer can go right in.
Just pour shock treatment in at the deep end of the pool and circulate the water for 4 hours.
We think it's smart to shock treat our pool every couple of weeks, or after a hard rain, or after a lot of people use the pool.
Or when you see algae. As a matter of fact, shock treating when you should, when using a good algicide is the best way to protect your pool from algae.
Algae. Now that's Eddie and Allison's department.
Algae.
There's a solution.
It's color-coded purple. So you want to know about algae? Well, I'll tell you about algae. They're a mess.
Now,
Cookie,
don't
grind.
say anything you'll regret later. What he means is they're easy to get.
You bet they are. We went away for a week. 1 week, and the kid that was supposed to take care of the pool messed up.
He said he was sorry.
But we got algae.
Green algae. They grow very quickly.
Here's what it looks like. At first, you'd think someone's dyed your water light green.
Dear, tell them about that awful mustard algae.
Mustard algae. That yellow-green junk that clings to the walls and steps of your pool. Here's what it looks like. If you move your hand through it, it usually disperses, but all you've really done is help spread it around the pool. And before you know it, it's back in the same place you swept it off.
But there's a solution. Algicide. But first things first. Make sure your pH balance and chlorine are right, just like the label says.
Then the algicide. We use the concentrated liquid kind. It's color-coded purple. Now, when you first add algicide, you put in a lot. 11 to 17 ounces per 10,000 gallons. We use 12.
You put it in the deep end, then run the pump for 4 hours.
And to really keep algae away, we add maintenance doses of 2 to 4 fluid ounces per 10,000 gallons of water.
We do that once a week, or more often if a lot of people use the pool.
Or, heaven forbid, if we see it coming back.
Here's algicide liquid. It comes in a gallon container, but it doesn't last as long as concentrate.
About half as long. But it works great on green algae. Oh, and one more thing. If you've got a pool with a connected spa like we do, use the concentrate.
The gallon size makes bubbles in the spa. Well, that's it for green and mustard algae.
That means
Black algae's next. Here's what they look like. They first show up as small, slippery spots, black or dark green.
Now, you don't ordinarily find it in a vinyl or fiberglass pool. But if you've got a plaster pool, black algae are real trouble. They can even grow into the plaster. If it goes too far, it has to be drilled out. Here's one right here. It's about a 1/4 inch around. Black algae is tough to get rid of because it forms a waxy protective coating. But first, you've got to scrub it off with a stainless steel brush.
But not on a vinyl or fiberglass pool.
Now, after we've scrubbed, we use blackout to kill the algae. Now, we've got to get it right on the spot. So, on horizontal surfaces, we pour the granules right on the algae spot.
On vertical or sloping surfaces, tie blackout granules in an old nylon or sock. Then hang it with a string so that it rests against the black algae. Leave it for at least 24 hours.
Algicide makes it simple to deal with algae, but it's not the only thing that helps keep water clean and clear.
AquaChem specialties and accessories are color-coded green. I don't like those little particles that float in the pool. They're hard to see in daylight, but they're everywhere when we turn the pool lights on at night. Well, Clarifier helps our filter clean those particles out of the water.
This chart shows you how much to add for your pool. Just pause the tape for a longer look. Pour the clarifier in the deep end and run the pump for 4 hours. And soon enough, your water will clear up.
To keep your water as clean as possible, you have to keep your filter clean and running efficiently.
We have a diatomaceous earth filter, and we use Filter Aid to trap dirt and particles. It also protects the inside of the filter from damage.
Check your filter manual to see how many square feet your filter has and how often to change the diatomaceous earth. We change ours at least once every 6 months.
Or if we notice the pressure on the pump go up 5 points, or 5 pounds per square inch above its normal level, that means the filter has trapped so much goop, it's time to clean it.
First, you've got to get that nasty stuff out by backwashing your filter. Your pump manual tells you how. Now you add Filter Aid.
Just pause the tape for a longer look. Once you know how much you need, mix 1 gallon of water for every 2 pounds of Filter Aid. I love doing this. Stir while you mix and pour until there are no lumps. It should have the consistency of milk. Then, with the pump running, pour it into the filter basket. Now we're talking clean swimming pool.
As proud as Eddie is of his filter, it can't clean big debris out of the pool. You have to have equipment like AquaChem skimmers, brushes, and vacuums. This skimmer is great for getting floating debris and leaves out of the pool.
Here are 2 ways to clean leaves and debris from the bottom of the pool. This leaf rake works great, and a leaf vacuum really does the job. Just hook up a hose and a pole and use it like a push broom. It pulls leaves right off the bottom and into this net.
Use these vacuums to clean up smaller dirt and debris. But before you do, get rid of the large debris with a leaf rake or vacuum. Make sure you have the right kind. This is for vinyl pools, and this is for plaster pools like ours.
Just hook up your hose like this. If yours has a swivel cuff like this one, it'll keep the hose from twisting up. Fill the hose with water by submerging it at the deep end like this. And here's a trick you might not know. You force the hose straight down to keep the air out. And once you have it totally submerged, put your hand over it to cap it. Now you hook up your hose to the skimmer or vacuum fitting and vacuum the walls and bottom of your pool starting at the shallow end.
Brushing helps keep the pool clean. We alternate between brushing and vacuuming every few days. With the pump on, brush toward the main drain. Brush everywhere, especially the steps.
These are AquaChem pool brushes, and to clean tile, a scrubbing brush with 3 different pads.
Well, I guess that about covers it.
If you need to review anything, come on back.
We'll see you later.
Hey, hon, how about a sandwich?
As long as you don't talk about algae.
In this section, we'll show you how to open your pool.
Before you test and treat the water, make sure it's at the right level.
And that all your pool equipment, like the pump, filter, heater, and skimmer, are working right.
We think you should check everything. The boards, the ladders, the slides, then clean your pool. Give it a thorough vacuuming and brushing.
Now for the water. Since it's a new season, we replace any test solutions that we have that are a year old. There's a date on the bottom so you can tell.
We check for water hardness first. After time, minerals build up in your pool because of evaporation, and that can cause a white film or a crust on your tiles.
You test your tap water and your pool water, then compare the two.
Our tap water had a reading of 100. Now to test the pool. Would you like to do the honors?
Sure. To fill the hardness vial, turn it upside down, dip it down into the water about 1.5 feet, turn it to fill it, then empty out enough water to get the level down to the measurement line. There you go.
Thanks. Add 2 drops of hardness solution A, and then swirl it. The water is hard, it'll turn to a violet like this.
If that happens, add solution B 1 drop at a time, swirling between drops.
Count the number of drops until the water turns to a blue that doesn't change.
Then you multiply the number of drops times 50 to get the hardness of the water.
I added 6 drops.
6 times 50 is 300, so we're okay.
And if the pool water hardness is 500 above tap water, you're going to have to drain 1/4 of the water out of your pool.
And then refill your pool to dilute the hardness and test again. Repeat the process if you need to.
If your pool water is 750 above tap water, call the AquaChem hotline for help. Here's the number, 1-800-252-POOL. After you've adjusted the water hardness, test and adjust the pH and the chlorine. Here's a quick summary of both of those. Skip past them if you already know how. Or pause your VCR if you want to jog your memory. Full details for pH are in red section 2 and for chlorine in yellow section 5. Now test for alkalinity. Without the proper level of alkalinity in your water, the pH balance bounces up and down and you'll never get it right. Sandy has rinsed and filled the vial from the 5-way test kit marked alkalinity.
Now Mike's going to take 1 drop of solution A, add it, mix it, add 2 drops of solution B, and mix it. See how it turns purple? Add solution C a drop at a time, swirling between drops. Count the number of drops it takes for the color to go from purple to clear or a light yellow that doesn't change. Then multiply the number of drops times 10.
If your number is above 120, add pH decreaser to bring it down to the 80 to 120 range. If your reading is low, add pH increaser to bring it up.
In either case, be sure you check your pH balance afterwards to make sure your pH hasn't changed, so you can correct it if you need to. So far, we've tested and adjusted the hardness, pH balance, chlorine, and alkalinity of our water.
Now for the stabilizer. It can keep the sunlight from taking as much as half of the chlorine out of your pool water. But make certain there's enough, otherwise it won't do the job.
So this is one little test that can save you a lot of money.
And we can do the test right here. Take the stabilizer bottle and fill it to the line with pool water.
Then you fill it to the top with the stabilizer test solution. Turn it over a few times to mix the two, and the water will turn milky.
But you're going to have to wait from 2 to 5 minutes.
Mike has a hard time sitting still for anything. Come on, let's go over to the shade and wait. Time's up. That didn't take so long, did it? Mike? When he's with me, time just zips by.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just pour the cloudy liquid into the vial with a black dot on the bottom.
Keep your eye on the dot as you pour, looking down from the top of the vial. Once you can't see the dot anymore, stop pouring and check the water level against the scale on the side of the vial.
That's your stabilizer reading in parts per million. It should be between 30 and 50 ppm. If you get a low reading,
that's below 30.
Add the stabilizer by pouring the granules into the skimmer a bit at a time. Run the pump as you pour and keep it running 2 to 3 hours afterwards.
Here's a table that shows you how much stabilizer to use to get 30 ppm. Pause your tape if you need a better look.
Well, my stabilizer test showed I already had 15 ppm. That's still low by half.
So how much stabilizer do we add? Well, 15 is half of 30, so we'll add half what the table shows. Nothing to it, huh?
Even though we use stabilized chlorine, we test at the beginning and halfway through the season.
It doesn't get used up, but you can backwash or splash too much out of the pool.
The last step in opening your pool is to shock treat it. Here's a quick summary.
And here's a review of pool opening steps. Pause your tape if you need a longer look.
Now, here's how to close your pool.
You do these 4 things to the water. First, test and adjust your pH balance. Second, test and adjust your alkalinity.
And third, add algicide. We use concentrated liquid algicide because it costs less. 1 quart for every 25,000 gallons.
Fourth, shock treat your water. Be sure to let the pump run at least 4 hours.
Summaries of the pH and alkalinity tests are coming right up. Just pause the tape for a good look.
When the water's all set, brush and vacuum the pool thoroughly.
Then start your chlorination for the winter. I like to use a floating cartridge.
We start with it set to the lowest rate. You don't need as much when you're not using the pool.
After a week, test your chlorine level to make sure it's between 1 and 1.5. Here's a summary of the chlorine test.
Keep testing and adjusting the pH and chlorine at least once a month.
Unless your pool freezes, then you can just relax.
Speaking of freezing, you should add ice buffers to your pool and skimmer to protect them. And you should clean and winterize your filter, pump, and pool according to the manufacturer's directions.
And if your pool doesn't freeze, just run the pump about 2 hours a day.
That's it. Pool closed. Here's a review of the steps.
How to care for spas and hot tubs.
Ah, the spa.
Yeah, taking care of your spa or hot tub is a lot like taking care of your pool.
In fact, if your pool and spa are attached, taking care of your pool water takes care of your spa water too.
That doesn't mean you don't have to brush or vacuum. That just means you don't have to take care of the water.
Attached or not, the best way to a pleasant spa is to start with fresh water.
We empty and refill ours at least once every 6 months.
If you've just filled your spa, then check your pumps, skimmer, and filter. And be sure and check your test kit to replace any expired solutions. We use the 5-way professional kit.
The pH balance is the first thing to test and adjust. It has to do with the acid and base in your water.
It's important because if the pH isn't balanced, then your water won't stay crystal clear. In fact, you could damage your spa.
Not to mention you're going to use more chlorine than you need to, and that's expensive. Now here's a short course in pH testing.
It's very important to rinse out the vial before you do the test. Then turn the vial upside down, put it down into the water up to your elbow, turn it to fill it, and bring it out. See the concave shape of the water at the top? The bottom of the curve should come to the measurement line on the vial.
So now I'm going to add 5 drops of phenol red test solution from the kit.
Be sure to hold the dropper straight up and down.
If not, your drops are going to be too big and your test reading won't come out right. Now you cap it, turn upside down a couple of times to mix it, and the water changes color.
You compare the color of the water with the colors next to it. And there's a white card in the kit that you can use as a background to make them easier to see.
But do it in the shade, otherwise the colors won't look right. Spa pH should be between 7.4 and 7.6.
If your pH is low, add pH increaser. If it's high, add pH decreaser. Those are the red color-coded AquaChem spa products.
Add 3 ounces of pH decreaser or pH increaser to every 500 gallons of water in your spa. Then slowly sprinkle the granules over the water with the pump on.
Let it circulate for 30 minutes, then test again. Keep at it till it's right.
Easy directions are right on the label. Oh, by the way, don't throw any test chemicals back in your spa. It could mess up the water.
Now that the pH is balanced, check for alkalinity. Here's alkalinity testing in one short lesson.
Sandy has rinsed and filled the vial from the 5-way test kit marked alkalinity.
Now Mike's going to take 1 drop of solution A, add it, and mix it. Add 2 drops of solution B, and mix it. See how it turns purple? Add solution C a drop at a time, swirling between drops. Count the number of drops it takes for the color to go from purple to clear or a light yellow that doesn't change. Then multiply the number of drops times 10.
If the number is above 140, add pH decreaser to bring it down to the ideal 120 to 140 range.
If you get a low reading, add pH increaser. It has a buffering compound that raises alkalinity.
Wait a minute. How'd you know that?
I read the directions.
Well, in any case, check the pH balance to make sure that it hasn't changed so that you can correct it if you need to.
Next step, super clean with shock treatment. Helps prevent algae, too.
You use 1 ounce of AquaChem shock treatment for every 250 gallons of water. Just check the label. It's the orange color-coded one.
Now you're ready for routine spa maintenance. If we use ours a lot, We check for pH balance and chlorine every day.
We make sure we do because spa water changes so fast.
Because there's not much water and it's hot, just one person getting in changes everything.
You add sunlight, dirt, and debris, and you can see why it's a good idea to check often. Even if you don't use your spa a lot, you should check for pH and chlorine at least once a week.
Here's a quick lesson on how to check for chlorine.
Rinse the chlorine vial, turn it over about elbow deep, turn it back over upright, fill it, and take it out. Make sure the curve at the top of the water hits the measurement line like this. Now that I'm back in the shade, I'm adding 5 drops of OTO solution to the water. I cap it, and I mix it. Now the big difference here is that I've only got 10 seconds to take a reading and compare it to the kit. Any longer than that, and I'm going to get an incorrect reading.
If your spa isn't connected to your pool, you want to match a color that has a number between 1.5 and 2. If you get a number below 1.5, add chlorine. Scatter 2 tablespoons of stabilized chlorinating granules for every 500 gallons of water slowly over the spa.
Circulate the water, check it again, and keep doing it until it's right.
Another way to chlorinate is a floating cartridge. It adds chlorine 24 hours a day.
The label tells you how to adjust the chlorine level. Just put it in the spa. But make sure you take it out before you heat it up and get in.
You should shock treat your spa about every 2 weeks, too.
Even though you've done all this, you can still get cloudy water.
It's caused by particles floating in the water. At night, you can see them when the lights are on.
We use clarifier to get rid of cloudiness. Just add 16 fluid ounces for every 500 gallons. Then run the filter for an hour. The label's got all the details.
Here are a few other products for a nicer spa. Stain and scale inhibitor help avoid scaling and stains. And if suddenly your spa looks like a bubble bath, anti-foam clears it out in no time. And I think a little spa fragrance makes it more soothing and relaxing.
One last thing. If you need to close your spa for a while, you should drain it, clean it thoroughly with a non-foaming cleaner, and we suggest you cover it, too.
That's it on spas. If you take care of your own pool or spa, it's important to handle the chemicals safely. Be sure to read the precautions on the labels.
When working with chemicals, remember, always wear safety glasses and rubber gloves, and follow the special handling instructions. And when you store your chemicals, store them out of the sunlight in a cool, dry place and away from kids. And never store chlorine and acid next to each other, because if they mix, they can produce an irritating gas. Never store any liquids above dry pool or spa products. And when you use chlorine, never add or mix different types in the same container. As a matter of fact, never mix or combine any chemicals. And when you add different chemicals to your pool, put them in at the opposite sides of the deep end. The bottom line is, be careful, okay? One of the special things we like about AquaChem is the extra service they give pool owners like you and me.
For instance, every once in a while we need advice on our pool or spa, so we call the AquaChem hotline, 1-800-252-POOL.
You can also get things like AquaChem's Pool Care Guide through the hotline.
We get the AquaChem Club newsletter from the hotline, too.
It comes 3 times a year and is full of tips on keeping your pool and spa sparkling clear.
And it saves us money with exclusive coupons on AquaChem products.
You can't get them anywhere else.
Last but not least, you can get all the products that we've used in this video at your AquaChem pool care centers.
Here's what they look like. They're at hardware, home center, and drug stores, and in supermarkets.
You'll find a color-coded guide there to help you find what you need.
Is that it?
That's it. Thanks for letting us show you how easy it is to keep your pool water crystal clear with AquaChem.
If there's anything you need to check, just go to the color-coded number at the table of contents.
Now for the fun part. It's the pool party!
Hey, Andy, put another burger on for me, will you, bud? Yeah.
Yes. Starving.
Oh, that looks good.